Murdoch. Murdoch was serving a dead. The proposal has proved immediately unpopular among parties, including the
So for
yeah, he been there because he used to do photo things for me. Mr. Marshall been there a long while now.
Now we know you got to get him calling in.
Around. I suppose whilst we're giving condolence, Hill, Henrique, a lot of caller trying to get through moments ago, but we encourage them. You can yeah. You can yeah. So we can find a.
So now you come on, ladies and gentlemen. That means single moms, pops, whoever. Yeah. You say as if to say, to hell with the economy, but the economy will do what the economy is going to do. So anyway, now I guess
the hotel workers and the like.
Yes.
So
either way, ladies and gentlemen, you see, as I said here on this program before, if K-Man's really going to get something done, you'd actually have to get a government that doesn't really concern itself with getting reelected. Either way, let me just say, I can think compulsory. I know. As they pay from hell, take this time to give John Seymour when he was there in the House. He was making that same comment. We have to consider the helpers, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's one of the reasons why you would have had Minister Bryan, who talked about not getting consensus. I don't think the minister himself wanted to do it. That's the end a few days ago, now that he's on the other side of the opposition. Yeah. And either way, I thank him for speaking up for all of these voiceless moms and families that will have to be paying significant increases. My goodness, it sounds like CUC has finally decreased their bill a little bit, and whatever pennies you save there, you'll have to be given that plus.
Right.
So you help them.
I just sent you a new link.
A new link for the streaming.
I see the internet connection is now out of the red and back into the green. Regrettably, it doesn't look like it's too stable. It's hopping back and forth. No, it's back in the red again. Again, and I do apologize to the listening audience, but it would appear that the streaming shortages is, in fact, on our end. As I look over my shoulder at our streaming link, and again, it also, monitors the internet connection, and the connection is. But again, when it comes down to the internet, it's entirely out of our hands. All we do is try to pay our bill. But in terms of making it work, what did you say the other day? I don't need the labor pains, just give me the baby.
Yeah, that's one of my brother's favorite statements.
It's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of minimum wage, since you just, love this subject so much.
Of course I love it.
Couldn't help yourself. The government has warned that penalties for violating minimum wage will not be pleasant for those who choose to ignore it.
We shall see.
The Cayman Islands government has warned employers that non-compliance with the new $8.75 minimum wage could lead to penalties, back pay orders, and possible prosecution. The acting chief officer of the Ministry of Caymanian Employment, Ms. Danielle Roberts, outlined the enforcement approach during a government briefing. She said, "This is not a suggestion. It is a new legal minimum standard for wages in Cayman," referencing the $2.75 increase from the current $6 minimum wage, which is expected to be in full compliance and in place by the 1st of January next year. Violations would include paying workers below the $8.75 minimum wage, failing to properly account for the 25% accommodation and utility allowance for live-in workers, or exceeding the 25% limit on wages paid through tips and commissions. Now, despite warning folks that this is not a suggestion but is going to be the law, and if any breaches to it would result in penalties, she did not specify what those penalty amounts or the prosecution thresholds may be during the government briefing. I guess that's meant to be a surprise, like Christmas. You're not quite sure what's in the box, but you know it's probably not going to be good for you. The implementation timeline gives employers now about 6 months to adjust their payroll systems and comply with the new minimum wage floor of $8.75, again, which does take full effect on January 1st. The Department of Labor and Pensions is expected to launch a comprehensive support measures to assist businesses with the transition, including industry-specific guidance materials, frequently asked questions, as well as providing employers with a checklist. Additionally, public education campaigns will also be in place to inform employees about their rights, as well as provide confidential reporting mechanisms for wage violations, Ms. Roberts said. As we talked about, of course, the new minimum wage will affect about 10,000 workers across various sectors. Of that, just over 2,000 will be Caymanians, and these include household employees, security guards, janitorial staff, and restaurant workers. Also, as you heard here on the program, economic analysis suggests the policy will cost the country some $51 million a year annually, but from the government perspective, it is expected to boost overall economic activity, whether it be by job satisfaction on the employee's side, a reduction in employee turnovers, or just a general employee improved morale. But this is what the government expects from the rollout of the new minimum wage, which does take effect on the 1st of January. And be forewarned, as they say, the government telling you this is not a choice. It is going to be the new minimum come the 1st of January, and violators will be prosecuted. So there you go. So, Ellio, I don't know how many helpers you got, but you might have to send a bill to Minister Miles. Let him know.
I wouldn't want this to sound like this has something too much to do with me.
No, I don't know.
But listen, the average person, I would imagine the average family in Cayman, as in Caymanians I'm talking about, because again, I keep telling people to make sure and draw the distinction, right? When you hear unemployment, unemployment's now what, 2.4%?
2.4% overall, but still.
This large economists, like I mentioned the other day, tourism's doing great, just not for Caymanians.
Yes.
And so, in relation to the minimum wage, going to benefit from minimum wage, but only 2,000 are Caymanians. That's all I'm saying. And the majority of that money is going to go home. People are thinking, this is another thing, you know, oh, well, these people are living and shacking up in one room. Be harsh, I'm just telling you. It's just the way it is. You know, reality. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
And all I'm saying is, you know, supposedly it was being argued. And you see, you don't even have to read between the lines. Before it was, what are we doing about the 2,000 people? You remember when somebody said that? He said, I hear about let people come here and have to work for this salary. That very clearly tells me where the priority lies. So I'm interested now that I'm hearing that. But all I'm just saying to you is that people are going to be happy, okay? There is natural that anyone, you come to me and tell me I'm going to get an increase in my salary, I'm going to be happy. But bottom line is the minimum wage is going to drive up the cost of living for everyone. 80% of the persons, 8,000 out of the 10,000, will be foreign nationals who are going to benefit from minimum wage directly. You mentioned some figures the other day of how much money certain businesses are going to have to fork out.
Yes.
What, you know? So at the end of the day, well, I need to increase the solution down here. Electricity be all perfect. I'm going to say thanks to CUC. When you can see your electrical bill go from $900 to $500, there's $400 more in your pocket. Maybe $700 or $800 reduction in terms of their mortgages or rent. And just right there would be $1,200. That's how you lower the cost of living. But trying to lower it or make life easier by increasing people's salary will only last for a period of time. And I am thinking about this. I mean, am I the only one that attended this particular business school? I mean, it could be. But I'm sure I'm not the only one who studied some level of economics. Where are the voices to talk about the fact that minimum wage is a pipe dream? But I guess we can't say that because once we elect our politicians, you know, they're all intelligent, bright, and we have to just be careful that lightning doesn't strike us.
Well, it may be, though, why we're hearing rather silence from the employers is that the majority of most employers are paying above the $8.75. I mean, when we look at our favorite Cayman Independent, they held 37 meetings during the course of their review, canvassing both public, government, and private agencies. He said most households backed the $10 minimum wage, but businesses had wanted a figure of no more than $9. So the minimum wage came in at under $9 at $8.75. Whilst there is, in fact, maybe supporting the silence is the majority of employers already paying above the minimum wage is one of those potentials. But you talked about
I got comments.
Always got comments
on
the minimum wage. That's no surprise. When we talked about the economic analysis in terms of what the minimum wage is actually going to cost the country, obviously $51 million a year from the country. Of that, $39 million is expected to come from businesses, whilst another $13 million will come from households. A 17.9, call it $18 million hit in additional wage costs, which will affect about 3,500 workers among the total beneficiaries of just over 10,000 staff members. We can pick this up and your comments when we come back, but it is 28 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock, and we do have to pause, take a short commercial break, but the conversation will continue here on Straight Talk today, airing largely on your radio dial, 103.1 FM, to stream live on Facebook and YouTube. But don't change that dial. There'll be more Straight Talk coming up next.
More Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio coming up. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Bobo 103.1.
It's back! The Rubus Fuel for Life campaign is turning up the heat this summer, and you could win a share of over $90,000 in free fuel or even $20,000 in cold, hard cash. A car wash on Rubus, restaurant gift cards, Coca-Cola swag bags. Fuel up at any Rubus station in Grand Cayman or Cayman Brac now through August 29th for your chance to win. Rubus Pure Summer Fuel for Life. Brought to you by Monster, Lucky Rabbit, Uncle Luke, Good Guys Wash Shack, Cyclone, and Coca-Cola.
Be prepared. Start the conversation now with Neighbor Help to Higher Ground. Be informed.
To our health. At Cayman Water, we use reverse osmosis desalination to ensure safe drinking water. A semi-permeable membrane allows fresh water to pass through of our planet. Cayman Water cares. Learn more at caymanwater.com.
At Price Right, spending less on everyday products is easy.
Spend less on office supplies, tools, and automotive products.
Spend less on groceries, fresh produce, and meat.
Spend less on electronics, TVs, and speakers.
Spend less on saving. Visit
for less at Price
Cleaners is off Drape and everything clean. Art Code Drive off Shedden Road.
That's Cayman Passion meets excellence.
Online and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1. Powered by Health Services Authority. Committed to caring for you. Views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are defamatory or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, Cayman, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo. Simulcast is in fact suffering today due to a poor internet connection, and it is regrettably and admittedly entirely out of our hands. However, the phone lines are open. Pick us up, put on that seatbelt, and enjoy the ride home. You can also reach out to us on our WhatsApp line, 928-2562. And from the same author, it says, "Hello, Mr. Harris. Please ask Mr. Solomon if he believes in a minimum wage at all. If not, is it okay for people to work for $1, $2, etc. per hour? If he does believe in a minimum wage, when should it increase? We instituted $6 per hour in 2013, and at that time, $6 was considered low by most. Yes, it is true that an increase in the minimum wage will raise prices. However, who deserves a raise if it's not our most vulnerable? Pretty much everyone is earning more now than they were in 2013. So say yes to this minimum wage increase. It's simply long overdue." Mr. Solomon?
Well, I like how he or she puts themselves right up on your wings. Austin? Austin, you asking for me. He that's holding on to your frock there. Also to understand is, if he's asking me about if I believe in minimum wage, does he believe in reducing the cost of living? Because that's what I'm arguing. Is stop wasting time increasing salaries to only be in a, because he seems to be saying that he agrees it's going to increase inflation. He agrees we'll be back in the same position in the next couple of years. So then why isn't he siding with me and agreeing that we should go and lower the cost of living, reduce mortgages, therefore reduce rent, reduce electricity, etc.? Why is he not agreeing with that? And I'm simply saying the real and offering a real. Why did we bring cheap labor here? Why we brought cheap labor here? Somebody at the end of the day wanted to reduce their costs. And you know what they know when they travel here? They know exactly when they wake up. They know exactly what they're going to make. And I'm simply saying, go fix the problem. And I'm going to just echo it because, when I'm passing, you stick a pin, nothing happens. Then you'll at least be able to say, I think I have it on a recording. We're going to be back in this same position in a couple of years, and we'll be talking about going from $8.75 to $14 and something cents, and it will continue electricity. Let's lower cost of mortgages, thus at least having an opportunity to lower the cost of rent, etc. Tackle the real, has to be the night, a real solution to the problem. Has it been confirmed?
Of minimum wage.
Has it been confirmed?
Of minimum wage, and we see on the one hand, specifically hospitality workers who receive gratuities can expect to have a portion of their minimum wage supplemented by those gratuities. on commission. Domestic helpers, taking into account that they may not have the same living expenses as other employees. So suggesting that the domestic helper who may be a day domestic helper coming in the morning and leaving the helper who may be a day domestic helper coming in the morning and leaving the evening will face one level of minimum wage, whereas the live-in domestic who obviously has room and board paid for, or at least included in their wages, receiving potentially a difference or other transaction may, whereas perhaps other employees who may be on a fixed wage would be. So therefore, we may see some carve-outs on in those areas. Have or experience certain carve-outs between now and January 1st when this minimum wage carve-outs between now and January 1st when this minimum wage law takes single confirmation that this is coming directly from government, so that even on but very clearly the government itself certainly suggesting from what we've heard from their public utterances that not minimum wage, at least until such time as he's had time. Parliament very recently by the deputy leader of the speaking.
I think that's the case.
And they were like a little flabbergasted and didn't quite know what to say. And they thought, you know what? Let's err on the side of caution. I won't say anything, then they can't hold that against me.
We'll beat them in private.
It could be. But I suspect there's much of that going on. And as you talked about, we too have also heard, that and to his, seeing a lot of folks getting his trial by fire now.
In this Austin.
Yeah, man.
If we were, let me tell you what we would be discussing. We would be talking about the cost of living and about real solutions. We'd be talking about lowering electricity. Let's up it to $8.75. And then tomorrow be 14, and the list goes on. I just want to see us as a country. I think we should just be tackling the real issues, and I think that we can solve those problems.
But we got about 20 minutes before we take the next break. Again, from the pages of the Cayman Independent, Mr. Paul Biles wrote an opinion piece, and I just want to share it because I respect Mr. Biles' viewpoint, and it's always very interesting from an economic standpoint at the very least. In days, the debate on Cayman's proposed increase to the minimum wage has followed a predictable path. On one side, there are concerns about inflation. Would treat any labor in Cayman is a reflection of our collective values as a society. And in this case, the value of a minimum wage, workers earning below $11.55 per hour are non-Caymanian. Yes, it's true that Caymanian unemployment is already relatively low. And yes, a higher minimum wage will likely raise the cost of some services. Should override or being nobody should be working. Let's be honest. If we focus only on the cost to business cents per hour, that boom. So it doesn't solve that problem. But that's the point. Which value center you choose to look from will shape how you judge this. A proper minimum wage is about protecting people from exploitation, regardless of where they come from. It's about recognizing that if we import fairness, yes, very likely. Will some businesses feel the pressure? Likely. But we already subsidize businesses in many indirect radical isn't just helpers. That's real. But so is the principle that people helping raise our children and clean our homes should be able to live with dignity. Can meet basic expenses without relying on second jobs or informal support networks. Ultimately, the power of supply and demand, or one where we place a floor beneath which no one should fall. We cannot fix inflation overnight. We only Caymanian workers, but it will move us closer to a society. And what are we really debating is whether we feel this decency is worth the costs. And that is something we all
think he should run for office. That sounds like some real ethical. He can get up in a position and I don't think it was done the 4 years past, nor the 4 years before that. And I'm now seeing simpler talk about the adjustment of minimum wage. And he's making a very similar argument to what Michael Miles is making. Again, it's the emotional card of people hurting, and the list goes on, and people suffering in the. I hear all that, and that's pulling at everybody's heartstrings, and that's fine. But if you really want
to check in with the, can keep out the.
I hear the emotions, okay, and that definitely on a general scale tends to work. We got a caller.
Let's
go to the phone lines.
Good evening, caller. You're on the air. I'm in on the subject of minimum wage, given your.
How do you know that's what he's calling
background?
about? Yeah, you have read. Good thing in the traffic. And I think his commentary is not remodels. His commentary is not remodels to the team and other people. But it has to be the economics has to be driven by the supply side as well as looking at demand side. Is have to make some pensions as a HR professional. Mm-hmm. I obviously have to. Not just practice but preach that doctrine. And so the issue of being fair to all concerned, whether despite their economic or social or other of events and festivals and colors and whatnot as to demonstrate their culture. But Cayman culture is something that I find is more fine, it's more creative, it's based on each other. The things that really made us strong or things, bring that out in terms of Martin's of blessed memory symbols. It causes a sort of a real dynamic mix of things to bring about our culture. And I think it also blends in nicely into the question of minimum wage, where as a people that believe in Christian values and believe in all those fine qualitative characteristics, I think we need to live it that way. And so I want to live it that way. And so I want to leave you with that thought, except I want to ask my good friend, of the two of you, both of my good friends, but my good friend Ellio, who I asked a question, and he's my cousin also. I asked him a couple of weeks ago about two buildings that were sort of in a derelict state on Georgetown.
Isn't that called Dixie? Is that Dixie Graveyard?
Yeah, Dixie, yeah, but it's the Whitehall area of Georgetown. You know that, but you grew up in that area. And also the old Hyatt Hotel that is just a shell there now that is been laying there since Hurricane Ivan in 2004. I know it's owned by the Dart Group now, and there's been talk about doing various things to it, but what is happening with that? And I know at one point there was some demand by government. It might have been the PPM government of 2005 to 2009 was fine.
It's been nobody taking
5 to 2009 was fine.
It's been nobody taking care of it, nobody attending to it. And like Club Bananas and cousin care of it, nobody attending to it. And like Club Bananas and cousin.
But
you're not calling this talk show, throwing little stones. No, you're not dealing with this, you know.
No. But were you able to?
I haven't.
Dixie, since you mentioned it, I think other listeners heard they were project appeared to not on his market.
Again, I don't know this. And why should I work for? Going up in Cayman, I was working. Heard anything about minimum wage? All I ever heard though people saying is a penny. Heard anything about minimum wage? All I ever heard though people saying is a penny saved is a penny earned. Work hard, make money. Saved is a penny earned. Work hard, make money.
Go. Keep it locked. We'll be back.
Bobo.
The latest news from our colleagues.
Home of the BBC World Service. This is the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
BBC.
This is Bobo FM.
BBC News.
BBC News. Bold news. BBC News.
Bold news from the
race against time.
An imminent threat.
Flying a drone over a rival team's training session.
Whatever is happening, wherever it's happening, catch up.
The BBC's From Our Own Correspondent.
In today's Russia, no one is allowed anywhere near the political stage.
Sense of insecurity.
Allowed anywhere near the political stage.
Sense of insecurity here.
More people are coming in from Sudan every day.
From Our Own Correspondent from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Power.
Offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands.
Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online is Bobo 1.
Locations across all 3 islands.
Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online is Bobo 103.1.
Alongside British force details, he's among almost
3.1.
Alongside British force details, he's among almost 20,000 Afghans whose names and other details, including their locations, were leaked in a major data breach 3 years ago. They had applied to move to Britain after.
Except that the data breach might have happened due to a human mistake. But the fact that they hid it from us, that they have not informed us, they even ruled me and my family, including my children, or complete from us, that they have not informed us. They even ruled me and my family, including my children, or complete anxiety, distress, and at the same time angry. Anxiety, distress, and at the same time angry.
The Defence Minister John Healey offered an apology during a call with President King outside the White House. The US President dismissed the idea and said he had no plans to give Ukraine long-range missiles. On Monday, Mr. Trump announced new weapon sales to Kiev. President Trump's former national security advisor, Mike Waltz, has denied that any classified information was shared when he in Senate confirmation hearing.
No, the use of
shared between folks who have access to.
Again, we followed the recommendation, almost the demand, to use end-to-end encryption, but there was.
In 2001, has died from cancer. He was 67. Murdoch was serving a life sentence in Alice Springs and had been moved from prison to hospital for treatment weeks before his death. Simon Atkinson reports from Australia.
The murder of Peter Falconio remains one of Australia's most notorious crimes. The 28-year-old was travelling the country in a camper van with his girlfriend, Joanne Lees, in July 2001. He was shot in the head after stopping on a remote stretch of highway about 300 kilometres north of Alice Springs. Mr. Falconio's body was never found.
Simon Atkinson reporting. World News from the BBC. Cuba's president, people in the country, Marta Feito, said had told a congressional commission on Monday that those asking for money in the streets of Havana and other cities, the president released any client list or was blackmailing powerful for what information.
Different things applied, but the
U.S. ambassador to Israel says he's asked the Israeli government to aggressively investigate the killing by Jewish settlers of an American Palestinian in the occupied West Bank. 21-year-old man from Florida was beaten. Have filed a lawsuit. Import. BBC News.
The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or Express. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back to Austin Harris. And the time in studio is now 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock as we move into our final segment of the evening. That'll take us all, or you can be a tradition.ky. It's going to be 26. Since 1992, and is asking the 1992. And is asking the question: Is the Cayman Islands at risk? To take preventative at risk. To take preventative action as the disease. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recently issued a Level 1. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recently issued a Level 1 global travel health notice for measles, warning airplane risk around the world, and more international travelers are getting infected. In a statement issued just this week, due to the island's close travel ties with the United States, but emphasized that risk to the local population, the Health Services Authority, on the attention if they develop fever and rash symptoms. According to the Johns Hopkins University, as of July 11th, Texas accounting for over 60%. Florida, a frequent destination for Caymanians and a key hub who passed in the U.S., measles, mumps, and rubella, and at the earlier this opening 18 months old and a second at 18 months, but the ministry is said to be reviewing plans to move the first dose of MMR aided with measles fever, followed by spreads from the face downwards. The health ministry noted that while measles structure is on a younger age, well, you might in studio. What it was, he was
1979 or some crap, right?
Yep.
But aren't they even giving that to young infants now?
Well, that's what they said. Yeah. Infants are reaching to age or 1 year old. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't.
Somebody's doing the math.
What I couldn't help, but we just got past the whole COVID scare, and then I read articles that suggest me 92. I bad rap when it comes down to global pandemics. COVID, of course, ranking tip top on that list, but in this case, I don't get.
So where is the world in COVID now? Have we accepted that this is a
China thing?
Okay.
It started in China and then it sort of spread and took over the world, but China still
just checking
carries the brunt of strange reasons, weaponizing to the point of COVID. Who would have thought that the world would be dying from an amplified version of the common cold?
But again, I'll take it back, and again, I'll stand alone in the corner in this one. From the time we were young, we were told you cannot be immunized for the common cold. You can't. There's no vaccine. There's no shot for the common cold. Sometime around 2020.
Flu shot came around, but the flu shot was around since before COVID was around. But a lot of good the flu shot did against COVID. So there you have it. Who knows?
We look forward to the measles thing now.
I don't know about
another reason to.
That means it's travel. I'm a little nervous because my son is going to be traveling next month for a few days with his friends. I'm reminded that, he's no longer my little boy. Still, the father, you still worry, So, and with measles out there now, it's just, one other thing to add to it. I told him, son, you know what? Your present U.S. climate, you don't want to be confused, You don't want to have ICE knocking on your door and saying, hey, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
No, don't hide it.
Like injecting Lysol.
There was a hurricane in Florida, and he was there tossing out rolls of paper towel. There was a hurricane in Florida, and he was there tossing out rolls of paper towel. It wasn't toilet paper, but it was paper towel. I guess maybe that's where it started. Who knows? Now you look at the flood in Texas. What was he saying just recently? We've maxed out. Look at the flood in Texas. What was he saying just recently? We've maxed out. And we've given them all the support we can. We're just certainly entertaining, but
that makes just about everyone right now, to be quite honest with you.
He's getting things done, whether you like it or not. His approach is certainly making, an impact. And still, his popularity ratings, despite the criticism, still remain a thing I see on social media, and even less when I see it on certain social media platforms. But there is an article that is coming from the Caymanian Times. That's twice now this week. We've with the word very careful for regulated catch and release fishing. However, the proposal forms part of a broader effort to protect marine biodiversity and preserve fishing resources for Caymanians. The proposed framework introduces comprehensive restrictions for non-Caymanians while protecting access for Caymanians. Under consideration by Cabinet are measures that could prohibit non-licensing system release would apply to the Honorable Cathhead and I quote, restrictions. We are taking a proactive step to manage our marine ecosystem responsibly. These measures will help and legal drafting yet. And of course, before any of these regulations, I suspect, can be made formally into law, then they have to, go through Parliament. But I do note, though, and you will be aware of this, Cabinet can change regulations themselves, suggesting that Cabinet can change regulations themselves, suggesting that there must be some overarching legislation as it relates to fishing, legislation, Parliament. But if there is a substantive law already, which again I can't quite find,
but it would definitely mean it was being
done. Is this coming for?
So you, Austin Harris, as a As a sports fisherman.
That's right. I know you couldn't. We couldn't resist. I
can't resist.
I know. Yes.
I am super eager.
I am a sports fisherman.
To hear your views on this particular piece of legislation. Your views on this particular piece of legislation. I mean,
get the sense that Cayman waters are being overfished. I don't get Cayman waters are being overfished. I don't get the sense that they're foreigners doing more than locals. I mean, just up to last night when I left the studio and I stopped all along the waterfront to catch a glimpse of what was turning out to be a beautiful night. There were two couples, or a couple, not how's it going? But they shrugged their shoulders to suggest it was a bit of a slow night. Don't ask me if they were Caymanian or otherwise. But I mean, fishing weather, Cayman waters are being overfished, in particular by otherwise. But I mean, fishing weather, Cayman waters are being overfished, in particular by foreign nationals more so than Caymanians. Foreign nationals more so than Caymanians. But you know, I don't know. I don't know whether it's at least one caller on the line. Let's see if we can take. Oh, nope, they didn't stick around. There he's coming back again. Let's try it again. Good evening, caller. You're on the air.
Evening, gentlemen. Evening, gentlemen. It's MP Brian here. How you doing?
I'm good, Mr.
It's MP Brian here. How you doing?
I'm good, Mr. Brian. How are you? Maybe you can. Good, Brian. How are you? Maybe you can. In versus Caymanian problem, or you are as confused as I am?
No, I am fully aware of. I am fully aware of it. I am very happy of it. I am very happy to hear since the election, because it was something, it would be rather of identify and grant the license to Caymanians.
Right.
To do it in the reverse.
Right.
So I am very happy to see that it must. So I am very happy to see that it must mean that they have gotten support from legal direction, because obviously you take counsel from the Attorney General with all legislation development.
Right.
And I mean, obviously 6 members they're there, and Mr. Solomon just said something, and I know we don't have a lot of time for it now because you're about to close up, but you can examine it further on in the week. That point of, anyway, but I just want to be something. And there's only 2 fundamental things that has happened so far, and I would like to think that it's fair to say that most of the legwork was created in the last administration. And that is the minimum wage, because obviously you had the minimum wage report before, and the consensus problem was what caused us not to move forward. So we did. Second piece of important thing then, assessment that was being done and how the effects on the civil service and the damages and all that. All that took six months to do. And they haven't even been in government for 6 months. So the civil service started that process because we were already on the way of doing that. But obviously the government changed again. And I'm saying that to say that in all realistic terms, they haven't not. We were already in the process of doing, but just for one reason or another, unable to complete. And maybe that in itself is enough. You didn't finish it, buddy. So sorry, you don't get the credit for it. But when people say things like, "Oh, look all the things they're doing," well, it's actually us that did 95% government. So a specific thing that has been changed. Maybe I'm nitpicking. Maybe I'm just an opposition member. I'll leave it there with you, gentlemen, and look forward to
just one question before you go, though. Do you know where the push came from?
He was minister.
We are completely out of time, but thank you very much. Maybe this is. We are completely out of time, but thank you very much. Maybe this is a subject we can pick up tomorrow, and always invite you, Mr. Brian.